Chapter 76. Is it a human in the incubator? 1. I'm out on a mission. Some of the cultivation barns in the research rooms need fluids. I'll send you my room number. Go replenish it later. I'll raise your rights later. This is the procedure for hydration. There's nothing else. However, you have to wear a full set of protective gear before hydration. You must also be sanitized. You must not bring anything that contains your genetic information. Zhu Tui received a message from Zhao Soxui while he was on his way to the Genetic Research Institute. Oh, yes, clean up the lounge area when you are free. Toss the fruits in the fridge away for me. They should be spoiled soon. Do as you deem fit. Zhu Tui felt a little dejected when he read the new message. He had to take care of the dormitory hygiene. He had to clean up the research institute himself. Had he entered the cleaning specialization? Even though he was cursing inwardly, Zhu Tui still had to take care of the hygiene. Zhu Tui was a little curious. Where did Zhao Soxui go on a mission? It was definitely not close. In this day and age, large-scale transportation was rather risky in the wilderness where humans had been forced out. Because of the large size of transportation vehicles and the limitations of speed, wild creatures evolved too quickly. As humans gradually left the deep forests for various reasons, the number of wild creatures became terrifying. However, individual vehicles, especially genetic newcomers like Zhao Soxui who had immense abilities, could move rather quickly. The repulsive force flying car was the best means of transportation. Powerful abilities could also be used to deal with unexpected situations. The maximum speed of a repulsion force flying car was 500 kilometers an hour. Depending on the individual's reflexes, the upper limit of their speed would be different. However, repulsion force flying cars were relatively smaller in size and load. The most common vehicles were one-person and two-person repulsion force flying cars. 4 to 5 people were considered large-scale repulsion force flying cars. They also had high requirements for their pilots. Otherwise, it would not have been as troublesome for Zhu Tui and the rest when school started. The average speed of a repulsion force flying car was between 200 to 300 kilometers per hour. It also had the assistance of automatic driving. Under normal circumstances, a repulsion force flying car could travel from the east to the west of the Wuxia sector in 1 to 2 days. And Zhao Soxui had left the week before Zhu Tui's battle with Deng Wei. It had been 2 weeks since she left. And Zhao Soxui would have returned long ago if she was in the Wuxia sector. Zhu Tui suddenly had a startling thought. Could she have gone to the intergalactic battlefield to execute a mission? At that moment, Zhu Tui became a little worried about Zhao Xu's safety. However, Zhu Tui then laughed at himself. Why would he be worried about Zhao Soxui? Zhao Soxui was a level C genetic mutant. Furthermore, she was extremely powerful. She was an exception and became a professor at the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. In other words, even though Zhao Soxui was a genetic mutant, she had the strength of a genetic evolver. What was there to be worried about? Zhu Tui was an expert at scheduling. Even if he was not good at it, he had gained experience from continuously cleaning the dormitory for the past few weeks. He had to clean himself up after he was done with the hygiene. Furthermore, he had to be fully sanitized before going into the research rooms for hydration. Thus, he had to take care of the hygiene first. It would save him some effort of cleaning himself up. Hygiene was mainly done in the living and leisure areas. Actually, there was not much dust. The Research Institute number 14 was located underground. The ventilation channels were filtered through layers of filters. Mainly, it was the trash of the researchers. The peelings of the fruits in the trash can had rotted. The fruits in the fridge had basically all been spoiled. Bananas, tomatoes, apples, oranges, papaya, grapes. Zhao Soxui had eaten a lot of fruits. It looked like she earned a lot. Fruits were very expensive in this day and age, and he tossed them all away. Zhu Tui cleared the trash cans in the leisure area and living area. He was about to leave when he suddenly saw clothes in the washing machine. It was the kind that had been washed and dried but had not been hung up. Zhao Soxui left in a hurry? Was there an emergency? That was a judgment he made based on the details. Now, Zhu Tui faced a problem. Should he hang the clothes in the washing machine? There shouldn't be anything strange, right? He should just hang it. Zhu Tui decided to go all the way with the cleaning. Even though the clothes had dried, they might smell if it was not removed for a long time. There was really nothing strange in it. There were 2 pairs of jeans, a t-shirt, and a pair of short denim shorts. Zhu Tui was deep in thought as he hung the denim shorts. Why did he not see Zhao Saxui walking around outside with these shorts? Her long legs if she was wearing denim shorts. He wondered if her legs were fair or not. According to the message Zhao Saxui sent him, there were a total of 4 research rooms that Zhu Tui needed to administer hydration. All of them were research rooms with blue cards. She had already given Zhu Tui the rights. First, Zhu Tui cleared out the trash in the various research rooms. It smelled a little, but there was not much of it. After cleaning up the mess, Zhu Tui swiped his card and entered the first blue card research room. Zhu Tui was shocked the moment he entered the room. There were 40 tall incubators erected neatly in the blue card research room. It was taller than Zhu Tui. The incubator was entirely silver in color. He could not see what was inside. However, the display slots for the cultivation fluid outside the incubator had almost run out. According to Zhao Xu's instructions, Zhu Tui was going to give these incubation tanks some hydration. It was the cultivation fluid that Zhu Tui had collected from the supply center of the Genetic Research Institute. He scanned the code and uploaded the message. After obtaining the temporary passcode, Zhu Tui opened the large barrel of cultivation fluid and injected it into the injector. The cultivation fluid was greenish in color and had a sweet scent. However, it also smelled fishy. Zhu Tui was a little familiar with that scent. A few minutes later, Zhu Tui, who was continuously injecting the fluid, became startled. Wasn't that the smell of the Level E Energy Restoration Elixir he had been drinking recently? But the taste was a little different. This cultivation fluid was a little more pungent. With a thought, Zhu Tui immediately observed the cultivation fluid. Even though his mental senses were not like a microscope, it was definitely a magnifying glass. It did not matter when he was making an observation comparison. Zhu Tui reached a conclusion a few minutes later. This cultivation fluid was very similar to the Level E Energy Restoration Elixirs he often consumed. However, there were still differences. The Level E Energy Restoration Elixir he consumed had a higher purity and no impurities. This cultivation fluid was more like an elementary grade of the original fluid. Zhu Tui lacked Level E Energy Restoration Elixirs. However, he was not stupid. These research supplies might smell like Level E Energy Restoration Elixirs. But anyone who dared to take a puff would definitely be courting death. The mission was not difficult, but there were a large number of them. There were a total of 5 blue card research rooms and 200 incubators. Zhu Tui spent more than 2 hours replenishing the fluid. He was a little tired. His protective gear was airtight. He could almost take a bath in the suit. Zhu Tui sat on the ground and looked at the giant incubators. He was a little curious, just what exactly was being nurtured in the incubators of the number 14 Research Institute. Zhu Tui made a gesture. Based on the size of the incubator, the things being nurtured inside were rather large. Under normal circumstances, the things cultivated in the research rooms were relatively smaller. It was rare to see something this large. Zhu Tui suddenly froze when he was gesturing. The incubator was a little taller than Zhu Tui. It was a rectangular chamber with an oval shape. Its overall length was much wider than Zhu Tui's shoulder, and the width of the incubation chamber was not small either. It was more than enough to fit a person like Zhu Tui. Could it be humans who were being cultivated here? A horrifying thought occurred to Zhu Tui. He could not help but think in that direction when that thought occurred to him. It was too possible. There were so many incubators, all of which were standing. Under normal circumstances, how could there be such a large creature for someone to nurture? It couldn't be that a tree was being nurtured inside, right? A tree could not be grown in a sealed incubator. Are there really humans in the incubator? Zhu Tui could feel his heart rate increasing. He observed the incubation chamber from various angles. He could not see anything inside. I'll try it out. She didn't say that I can't use my mental senses anyway. With a thought, Zhu Tui extended his mental strength toward the incubator. He wanted to see what was in the incubator clearly through his mental senses. However, Zhu Tui froze. He could not see it. The incubator was covered in a layer of silvery gray membrane. This silvery gray membrane blocked off Zhu Tui's mind power completely. He could not detect it at all. No matter how hard Zhu Tui tried, his mind power could not penetrate the membrane. He still could not see what was in the incubation chamber. Is this the nemesis of mental senses? Zhu Tui was a little dejected. In just a day, his mental senses had first been broken by Luo Murong, then blocked by a membrane at the number 14 Research Institute. Zhu Tui felt that some of his thoughts had crumbled. Mind power did not seem invincible. It had many natural enemies. Zhu Tui had encountered 2 of them today. This gave Zhu Tui many new understandings and ideas. The large rectangular incubator in the research room gave him too many surprises. This was especially so when he thought about how it could be humans being cultivated inside. Zhu Tui's shock reached its peak. Zhu Tui was still thinking about several questions even after he received his monthly allowance and a bottle of level E energy restoration elixir and left the Genetic Research Institute. Was it legal to cultivate a human in the incubation chamber of the Institute 14? Was it illegal? If it was humans being cultivated in the incubator of the number 14 Research Institute, then what kind of research would Injauq Soxui use them for? Would there be anything bad about these studies?